Cameron getting shot in DC. Now, remember, people, once upon a time, Jay-Z, I think Nas was even with him at the time, right? Was it while they were interviewing with Sway? They even labeled Cameron a snitch because of the press conference that Cameron and the diplomats that stood behind him at the time said that the person that walked up on his car, he saw him flashing the rock. Matter of fact, he put it in the song too. He put it like the intro of a song. So Cameron has already said that. Then when he started his podcast, he switched and said it was related to something else. All right, cool. Now here's Dame, pretty much reinforcing that it has ties to the paid in full movement or movie, I should say. My bad. What are we gonna go with? Let's see what he says.
I came across a video and Cameron said he was highly against doing the ending scene where he says, "I'll snitch," and
he was.
You know, I'll
That's true.
From DC.
That's true. And the problem is, you know, it's a movie, but you don't play a guy that snitched on Washington and then go to Washington with a Lamborghini and stay in the same neighborhood that he had issues in for 3 or 4 days. So from what I was told, they were like, yo, you can't just disrespect us and go to Washington and you just played this dude that told on a lot of people from our neighborhood and they just got aggravated. So I think Cam was just playing that. I wouldn't have done that because when he got shot, what the f was you doing there in the first place with a drop top? And you just played this man and you're going around the neighborhood where people are going to be triggered. And he got people triggered and they pulled the trigger. And hopefully he's learned, don't do no shit like that. That's why I don't have any convertibles. You know what I'm saying? It's because it could hit you. You know what I mean? That's crazy. To go into that hostile environment after you've done these things and stay for days, you know, you might get shot. I didn't want him to get shot, but he definitely was against it. And it was a bit of an argument, but he still respected it and did it. But also, I wanted him to say that because Paul, you know, homeboy had said that. So if you look at the Feds one of the magazines that did a story on him, he said this shit. So I just repeated what he said. When he said, it's still going to be on my dick, pause. He said, when I get home, it's still going to be on mine. That's what what I read. Maybe I say allegedly, but I remember reading that. So that's why I put that in there. So really, I understood that he would come home because he told me. I had a conversation with him on the phone, but I didn't know he told. Once he told me I was like, I'll talk to you later. And I wasn't talking to him no more. Because I was like, he was telling me he killed Rich. And I'm like, yo, you know we on the phone, right? He's like, man, I told everything. I told them everything. And then he sent the message to someone else. Like, yo, someone else shouldn't talk so much because I didn't tell, you know, I didn't mention his name. You know, but Jay Black and a lot of the people I'm talking about, that was, you know, Rich Porter's lieutenant. He made the movie with me. So I always wanted to tell it from his eyes because he was right with him. And then because we got hit by work with him and everyone that I know was working with him and we were all friends. You understand what I'm saying? Except Daniel. And then, you know, it's like a lot of people were getting money in Harlem. A lot. There's also a prequel to be told, which at some point I would love to do. But what I don't think people understand is like, you can't profit from your crimes. So there's a Son of Sam law. Maybe put it in the chat. And I'm not saying the chat's always right, but it can give you some direction. So a lot of people think when they come home from jail, they can sell the rights to their story and they can't. There's a way that you could do it, but you can't. Like any money that comes has to go to like the victims or some shit like that. Or to some.
So let me ask y'all chat. I'm going to let y'all vote real quick before I pull up. I give y'all my answer to that. And I'll pull up some other stuff we need to look at related to this. Should somebody get shot like Cameron for playing a character in a movie? What do y'all think? Y'all think that's part of life? Y'all think that nigga it's a character? Like, beat it, go somewhere. Like, it ain't that serious. What do y'all think about that? Like should Joe Pesci play a mafia boss, or should somebody play Gotti and do something wrong in one of the scenes and possibly get attacked by the mafia behind and shit? What do y'all think? Sniper says no, you shouldn't. Eric says hell nah. DJ says no, that's dumb as fuck. All right, I see the chat where y'all leaning already. It was pretty much a setup question. Of course, the answer is no. Of course, because it's a movie. But the real thing I'm moving towards is, but should you do it? The answer is no. The answer is no. Certain things in this world you should not play with. And Dame is right here. And especially if you're going to go to where they're at. Now we're looking at the Paid in Full movie, and we're looking at Cam playing Rico, and we look at that character and say, all right, like okay, cool. Like Rico, aka Alpo, and then he went to DC, and we know the story of like Wayne Perry, who was a very respected and powerful person out there. You know, that character, maybe you look at it as just some little hood shit, whatever. But that DC and that Wayne Perry shit out there, people are ignorant. People really still are affected, lives lost, families impacted, and they watch that movie. Some people say that ain't true, that's done wrong. Oh, you lied about that. Oh, hold on, you played a snitch. Like, yo, why'd you even make a movie like that? Why'd you even give light to that type of person or Alpo? There's people out there that don't even want an Alpo story told, like saying he don't even deserve the light. So Dame is right. If I'm Cam and I do that movie and it involves the Wayne Perry people and associates of the world, am I driving around DC in a drop top Lamborghini? Me personally, no, I'm not. And let me give you a way more serious example now. Okay. Because in case people were just like, come on, ARP, you're reaching a little bit with the Cam situation. That was a setup too. Because as I was listening to him, I was thinking, I brought it up. I was like, hold on. Danny Trejo talked about the same thing on Vlad. 10 people killed over American Me, the movie. 10 people killed. All right. I might play a little bit of this. Based on his experience with the 1992 film American Me, Danny Trejo explained that people associated with the movie were killed by Mexican mafia for its disrespectful and inaccurate depiction of the prison gang. All right, let's play a little bit of it. Why not? Let's do it. Shout out to Vlad. Vlad, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me, Vlad.
I remember the movie that made me not want to go to prison was American Me.
Yeah.
Based on what you experienced yourself as a Mexican in prison, was that pretty accurate?
Well, it was. I didn't like it. It was kind of far fetched, and it got a lot of people in a lot of trouble.
People got killed around that movie.
Blood In and Blood Out is a movie that I did with Taylor Hackford, and it was sort of, we didn't disrespect anybody, you know, because I don't care if you're a mangy dog. I'd rather have you for a friend than an enemy. And the person in charge of that movie made a lot of mistakes.
American Me.
Yeah.
Edward James Olmos.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of mistakes.
Do you know him?
He'll admit it.
What, do you know him?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I saved his life, really, and he won't admit that either.
Well, okay. So from what I understand, that story was based on the head of the Mexican mafia, right? And from what I heard, the big problem in that movie was that he showed that guy getting raped.
That was one of them
in juvenile hall, and that's considered the biggest no-no.
Right. And then he lied about getting permission to do it.
Aha.
He said he went up to talk to Joe Morgan, and
Joe Morgan is the guy.
Yeah, Joe Morgan told me no, he didn't. He told me on the phone. No, he didn't.
So you know the head of the Mexican mafia.
I knew him. He passed away.
He passed away. Okay.
I think the last 3 or 4 leaders of the Mexican mafia have died of cancer.
Huh. Okay. And from what I understand, some of the people featured in that movie, like I think, got killed because of them being in that movie. 4 out here, and about, I think 6 in prison. 6 people got killed over American Me.
Yeah, probably, but
just being part of it.
Yeah, but it was funny because I remember Donald Garcia, another Mexican mafia that got out and turned Christian, just straight out said, they were talking about no, and he goes, yeah, that falls on you, Eddie. So.
Okay.
So you've got to be, the power of cinema. You got to be really careful.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. And I don't mean, am I offending somebody? No, you just got to be real careful about telling the truth. Okay. The leader of the Mexican mafia was never raped.
Yeah.
All right. So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what are you going to tell his kids? You know what I mean? It's like, how do you explain that to his kids? And if you notice, after that movie, the people involved with that movie, the heads, not the actors, okay, because a lot of the actors came to me and asked, Danny, are we in that? No, you guys aren't. You're worker bees, And a guy named Eddie Bunker, who was one of Joe Morgan's best friends, and me met actually with Edward and his manager, I guess, at a place called Jerry's Deli in Encino. And I told him out front, you can't do this, Holmes. You can't do this. You're offending some very, very. He said, well, it's theatrical. Yeah, but you're not dealing with theatrical motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But a lot of times your ego and your will tell you, no, I can get away with this.
Yeah, I looked it up. So Joe Pegleg.
So what's some examples that probably is in that bracket, B? Of course, anything involving mafia, like because they don't like the exposure. So any of those movies, right? I never could see the mafia running down on a Robert De Niro. They revere him, they love him, right? Or maybe not. Maybe not a Scorsese neither. Like let's take a step over him. Like who's making this shit? I could always see them be like, "Hey, Rob, man, you got this wrong, but we love you." Like, or same thing goes for Pesci or Travolta or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe, but documentaries probably get very, very dangerous. You got people that do conspiracy related stuff. Very, very dangerous. Look at Alex Jones. I think the only reason why the government never touched him is because they would martyr him and it would be too exposed. Like because he's, you know what I mean? So they want him to hang out there and just have half of the people that listen to him write him off as a conspiracy guy, and other people that are going to follow him, right? Sort of like that, putting it in your face or hiding in plain sight. When we did that stream about all the on to the next one and imagery that Jay-Z and all, that Freemasonry stuff that they were doing. But let's not get too deep. Let's not rehash that. We can say that for a different stream. But how about Cocaine Cowboys? Okay. How about stories around Griselda Blanco? How about Narcos as a TV series, right? All this stuff that's tied to real events or real people. We hear Cameron getting shot in DC. We go, whatever. Some people still believe that that's Rockefeller motivated. I never thought that. I heard it when it was said. I was like, I don't really see it. Like I don't really. And now to see Dame say it, Cam say it, I do believe that it's a culprit of the paid in full movie. I do. But you listen to Danny Trejos of the world, shit gets way worse than that. Motherfuckers probably be getting their head chopped off and all types of shit behind movies and documentaries. Oh yeah, it's a reality. It's an absolute reality.